Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios. I'm your StockMiner Brian Johnson. And, need I say more? Big, big bullish run today as it broke up and over some of these overhead resistance levels we had been speaking about. You can see the run that came into the markets. Some of these were a little bit more speculative from a swing trader's perspective. So if you're holding overnight, I hope you're being cautious. But for those intraday traders, it was pretty much pretty much a no-doubter as hard as that thing was running. You can see that when we opened the day, we ran right up into this blue line, Papa Smurf as I've been calling him. You can see that it did not take long for us to get up and over 10,150, and once it did, look at the heavy buying that came into the markets. The buying today was strong, really strong today. We saw a heavy bout come in from the bulls, and once again, as we cross these levels, it was a good place for you to take entries above 10,150, above 10,200, above 10,250. Left us kind of in a very extended place, but as you can see, look what we did the rest of the day. Once we hit the top, we didn't go anywhere. We went straight sideways. That is very bullish going into tomorrow. So regardless of what numbers come out tomorrow, we just may see a run further up, looking to push past 10,300. That is another good opportunity to be getting into the long side. Watch that carefully coming into tomorrow. Now, as we approach the 200, that will be our first place to get really cautious here. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the daily here quick. Let's just flip over here to the daily. Look, coming right up into the moving average, exactly where we would expect to find some overhead resistance. That's exactly what we saw today. As soon as we hit the 50, it started to kind of peel sideways. Really wasn't much to talk about the rest of the day from that point on. It was just straight up for the Dow and the rest of the markets. They all kind of went back into the same area. So now that we've broken this blue line, just got to look upwards. I'm not saying this is a major reversal, but I'll tell you what, sure changes a few things. This starts to make the count look a little different now. If you want to be Elliott wave about it, we could see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with an A, B, C down. This could have been a little 1 with a little 2 and a big 3 started right here. This felt like a very strong, could have been 3 of something, 3 of C, 3 of 3, I don't know. Could be anything, but this is an extremely strong move with lots and lots of volume behind it to push it higher. So no reason to think that we won't come into tomorrow at least up to start. Now, maybe, obviously as the numbers are released, maybe things change, but boy, it's hard to believe right now that anything's going to get in the way of this train. Now, we do see a pullback. Watch these blue lines for retests. I love seeing this within technical analysis, and it is a very popular option to see stocks do that. So keep your eyes closely on these areas as we come into tomorrow's tradings. Remembering numbers are released tomorrow. Let's see if that has any effect on the markets. But if they come in neutral to better than expected, you can expect us to run up here. Next, 10,400 to 10,451, your overhead levels to be keeping your eyes on. Moving on to the NDX, you can see here on the 60 where we busted above the blue line. This did not take long at all. Started right at the beginning of the day with that gap. This was a no-doubter here for a long play. Once it got above that blue, it was straight up the rest of the day. Apple looked good. All of those type of techs look pretty good today. Then we pull right back where? Into this beautiful, what was resistance, now is acting as beautiful support. Expected to run up from there, looking at 1830-ish, 1840-ish area here for the next upward move. Keep those on your charts for tomorrow. Anything pulling back, I am looking at these moving averages and maybe the blue line eventually. As volatile as these markets have been, guys, I'll tell you what, it's made for some very difficult trading. This is definitely the time to start getting out at the end of the day, getting back in at the beginning of the day, and just playing it that way. Very difficult to find, to know what's going to happen from day to day. As you can see here, this volatility that we've seen in the market. Here was the big consolidation, and it resolved up. So you've got to give the benefit to the bulls in this case, and that is now looking for that push back up into these areas. Once again, just be really careful if you're going to try to swing trade these markets. You're going to look to get in a lot of trouble if you do. 1830 because of the moving averages above us. Now, NASDAQ is a great one to play long. If you want to play something long, I do invite you to look at the NASDAQ. Tends to be one of the stronger indices when we move up. Today, I think it was the S&P. It was really strong today. But in most cases, it is the NASDAQ. And while it has been the laggard lately, it did okay today. Let me take a quick look and see where we finished for the day on the NASDAQ. Yeah, 2.97%, so it was the leader today. Just barely, but it was the leader of the day, up 62 points. NASDAQ coming back with a fury. From a weekly perspective, now coming back to retest all of this overhead resistance. Still early to tell what will happen by the end of the week, but you have to give, once again, you have to be neutral to now bullish on the markets for myself in the short term at least. Does not mean that we can't turn bearish longer term, but man, for right now, we've got to really keep our sights looking up for the time being. Keeping an eye on those numbers, of course, coming out tomorrow. Same thing here, running right up into this overhead resistance perfectly. Look where the S&P finished. A beautiful move by the S&P, and then ran up further in the after hours, so now it's already above this line. Looking to push its way back up here to this 1090 area, 1100 after that. Maybe back to fill some of these gaps. I'll tell you what, this has been an incredible run in the markets lately. From a daily perspective, too, coming right back into these moving averages, so we'll want to watch closely tomorrow to see what happens. Best way to beat these moving averages is just to gap up. Looks like it's on its way based on what we're seeing tonight. Anything can happen before the morning, but where we open makes a big difference. Will we stay below these moving averages, or will we get above them? If we do, 1100. I don't see why not. From a weekly perspective, bounced right down here. Notice how we held it once and twice, and now we're looking to move back up into these overhead areas. And where's that at? 1100. So keep your eye very closely on that as your overhead area. Also confirmed by the VIX with the big move down today. From a weekly, also staying in between all these lines right here, but you can see it's starting to fall and get below now this 23, 24-ish area. This could summon a little bit more buying, would bring the VIX back down again. We could see 18 to 20 over the next week if the trend decides to stay in one direction for longer than a minute. We will see the VIX then drop. Apple on a 6-minute. Here's that big move. Very, very, very nice move. Got above this support, pulled back below it, back above it at the end of the day. 250. Big number for it to hold. So that was good to see it up and over 250 if you are bullish on Apple. Notice how it broke this blue line, coming up and getting close to testing this blue line. I'll extend that blue line for you by tomorrow, but you'll see that that's going to come in right around this 200, 250, the 200 period moving average and or the 254 area by the time I extend that line. From a daily as well, you can see 254 once again is 50 on the daily, so lots of good overhead resistance up there. Now that it's broke above that 250 line and gotten actually above the 20-day moving average, I think that's the next direction for Apple. May even see a gap there tomorrow, depending on, or close to it, depending on what the numbers are in the morning. Any pullback, watch that blue line to be retested. From a weekly perspective, this is looking better and better for Apple. This is exactly what it wanted to see. Getting up over 255-ish or so puts it back above this 20, and that would be huge. This has been in a beautiful consolidation pattern. No reason to think that it couldn't possibly get above here and break to all new highs before this little run is all over in the markets. FAS, straight up. Gap up, run up. If you went long at any point today during FAS, hard to believe that you lost any money. Up above all these levels that we were talking about. Let's flip right to a daily here, running short on time, so I'll just tell you here that we had the move up above 1825, 1850, and right back into these overhead levels. Above 19 was a great place to get long. Right back into these overhead levels here where we stopped. Overhead resistance and the 20-day. Perfect place to look to take your profits. Could have made some very good money on that. FAS then dropped this whole bull flag, not doing so well. We did not get up and over these areas, but once we broke 16, which happened very nicely today, guys. Notice how we didn't gap below it and run away. We actually gapped held just above it and gave us entries to the short side as it ran below those entry points I've been giving you here for the last umpteen weeks. Beautiful entry here as this thing fell down, broke 16 and ran down the rest of the day where? Back into our friend the $15 mark. So that was good for a good dollar move today in FAZ. Not seeing those type of moves lately, so it's been pretty nice to see a big move like this, all in one direction. Pretty simple. If you got short at all FAZ today, you should, by all means, you should have made money. No question about it. So, if this is giving you fits, if you took profits too early, I invite you to talk to me about my mentoring course. I'll teach you where to put your stops. I'll teach you why you put your stops in these particular places, and I'll make you more money in your trading. I will make you more money through that mentoring. So well worth your time, well worth your email to talk to me about it. All right, guys. See you again tomorrow night. Have a good one. Bye.